Chosen one, what you are about to receive is not just a message, but a divine confirmation that your soul has been longing to hear. It's no accident that you are here in this moment. The Holy Spirit has guided your steps, orchestrated the timing, and aligned this very word with the transformation you're about to walk into. You have been feeling the shift. You've sensed that something is about to change. And now it's here. Before we go further, I want to invite you into something sacred. Subscribe to Bible Peak right now, and in the comments, boldly declare, I stand strong in the will of God and embrace His divine plan. Let this be your affirmation, your personal covenant with heaven, because what you're stepping into will require a bold faith and a heart that fully trusts the process of divine rearrangement. This is your season of elevation, but not before the release. God is about to remove someone from your life. And I know that sounds painful. I know it may feel like loss. But hear this through the clarity of heaven. This removal is not punishment. It is protection. It is positioning. It is the first step in the fulfillment of a divine promise over your life. You've been praying for clarity, for peace, for breakthrough. And now the answer is coming, not always wrapped in what feels good, but always grounded in what is good. God's method often begins with subtraction before multiplication. He clears out the clutter before He delivers the blessing. And that's what's happening now. There's a person, maybe even a few, who have been quietly draining your spirit. They've grown comfortable in your life, even while bringing chaos. They've taken more than they've given. And though you've loved them, carried them, and hoped for change, God is showing you that your next level cannot include them. Not because He wants you to be alone, but because He needs you to be aligned, and alignment starts with obedience. This removal might feel like betrayal. It might come suddenly, without closure. It may break your heart, but it is God breaking chains. Chains of emotional dependency. Chains of manipulation. Chains of compromise. You are never meant to carry what they placed on your back. And you've been weighed down for too long. But now, heaven is lifting the weight. This is your final test. The moment where you decide, will you cling to what's familiar, or will you trust God for what's better? Will you hold on to the person He's removing? Or will you open your hands to receive what He's making room for? Because make no mistake, what's coming is greater. The peace, the clarity, the divine connections, the overflow, it's all waiting for your yes. A T may feel like the ground is shifting beneath you, like everything stable is being pulled away. But chosen one, that's because God is replacing your false foundations with solid ones. He's not leaving you in free fall. He's planting you deeper, rooting you in truth, anchoring you in His promise. So don't resist the shift. Let the old fall away so the new can rise. This isn't just about removing people. It's about removing patterns, mindsets, attachments. It's a spiritual cleansing, a divine detox. God is making space in your heart, your thoughts, and your life. And in that space, He will pour revelation, wisdom, vision, and strength. The kind of strength that comes not from perfection, but from surrender. There will be moments when you want to reach back, when your heart aches for what was. But in those moments, remember why God had to step in. Remember the sleepless nights, the constant confusion, the lack of peace. That wasn't love. That was a lesson. And now it's time to graduate from the pain into the promise. God is not removing them to hurt you. He's removing them to heal you, to restore your identity, to realign your purpose, to ignite the fire that's been buried under fear. You've dimmed your light to make others comfortable for too long. But not anymore. Now is your time to rise. There's a new version of you being born in this season. One who loves with discernment. One who speaks with authority. One who walks with wisdom. One who no longer needs to be validated by broken people. This is the version God has always seen. The one he's been shaping in the fire. And now, the fire is turning into fuel. Do not fear the loss. Celebrate the making room. Because what's coming will not drain you, it will fill you. It will empower you. It will inspire you. The people who are coming will see you for who you are, not who they want you to be. They will honor your anointing. They will speak life, not confusion. And they will help you rise, not pull you down. This is your divine moment of separation for elevation. Let the pruning happen. Let the old break off. Let your heart grieve, but don't let it go back. You are standing on the threshold of your next dimension, and all of heaven is backing your obedience. When God begins the process of removal in your life, it's never random. It's intentional. And while the pain of losing a relationship, a connection, or even a familiar place can feel overwhelming in the moment, it's important to understand that heaven always operates with a long game in mind. What feels like loss is actually the clearing of a field that is about to yield a harvest beyond anything you could have planned for yourself. Chosen one, you're not being punished. You are being positioned. And what you've had to let go of was never meant to carry you where you're going next. This is the sacred exchange, the moment where you release what was never truly yours, so that God can place in your hands what has been divinely designed for your journey. He doesn't just take, he restores. And his restoration is always greater. There's something powerful that happens when you stop fighting to keep what God is removing. You begin to make room in your heart, in your mind, in your schedule, in your energy. And that space becomes the birthplace of newness. It is in that emptiness that God pours clarity, not just about who you are, but about what you're meant to do. The person you tried to hold on to may have blurred your vision, but now, with them gone, the fog is lifting. And for the first time, you can see who you've become, see what you've outgrown, see where you're being called. This moment of release isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about your readiness. God knows when your heart has matured enough to handle more. When your hands are no longer clinging to the counterfeit, you can finally carry the real. And what's real is coming. With substance. With weight. With purpose. You see, not everyone is meant to journey with you into the next level of your assignment. There are some who are only there to sharpen you in a specific season. They were part of the refining fire, but they are not part of the future fire God is igniting through you. Their chapter in your story served its purpose. And now, as you turn the page, don't mourn the end, rejoice in the evolution. One of the most beautiful outcomes of God's removal is what it awakens in you. Suddenly, your spirit begins to rise. You're no longer drained. You begin sleeping better. You laugh again. You pray with power. You walk lighter. Your creativity flows. That's the fruit of divine disconnection. The person or situation that once clouded your energy is no longer blocking the light. And now, growth can flourish. God is also teaching you something vital in this process: how to walk in discernment, to recognize early when something is not aligned with your purpose, to stop forcing what no longer fits. This lesson may have come through heartache, but the wisdom it's producing will guard your future. You'll no longer fall for empty words. You will no longer confuse attention with connection. You'll feel the difference between what feeds your spirit and what merely flatters your ego, and from this place of discernment, something else begins to emerge: divine replacements, people who speak with wisdom instead of manipulation, relationships that feel peaceful, not pressured, assignments that align with your calling instead of draining your soul. God begins to send replacements, not just for comfort, but for covenant. The ones coming into your life now have been sent, not stumbled upon. They're not showing up by accident. They are heaven's answer to what was removed. And you'll know them by the fruit. There will be no striving, no confusion, no chaos, just alignment. This is the multiplication phase of the divine exchange, where you begin to receive back, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, not just in material blessings, but in spiritual depth. God is not merely trying to make your life look better. He's making your life bear fruit that will last. You may begin to see doors opening in unexpected places, opportunities you never applied for, people reaching out who were previously out of reach, projects being revived that you thought had died. That's not coincidence. That's divine compensation. God is honoring your release with restoration. And the joy is that it won't come with strings. It won't come with fear. It will come with clarity and confidence. As you walk into this restoration, you'll also notice your voice becoming stronger. You're no longer afraid to speak truth, to stand in your values, to enforce your boundaries. What once made you shrink now makes you rise, because you're no longer trying to keep people, you're trying to keep your peace. And peace is the platform upon which purpose thrives. Even your perspective is being healed. You no longer see the removal as rejection. You see it as redirection. You begin to thank God for what didn't work out, for who walked away, for what was withheld. Because now you realize it wasn't lost. It was liberation. God didn't take them from you. He rescued you from them. And in that revelation, you begin to praise from a deeper place, a place that understands timing, a place that honors trust, a place that knows obedience is never in vain. And from that place, you rise not bitter, but better, not guarded, but guided, not fearful, but full of faith. The person you are becoming through this divine exchange is stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before. And that person is ready to build with the right people, ready to receive without fear, ready to release without regret, ready to move without needing permission. After the removal, after the tears and the silence and the letting go, something powerful begins to take shape. A version of you that is not surviving anymore, but thriving. A version of you that is no longer questioning your worth or tiptoeing around your calling, but standing firm, clear, and deeply rooted. This is where alignment begins to manifest, not just in your spirit, but in your everyday life. Chosen one, you are stepping into the most authentic season of your life. This is not a season where you're trying to figure out who you are. This is a season where you already know. You're no longer asking others to validate your vision or give you permission to rise. You've seen too much, endured too much, been refined by too much fire to go back to playing small. You are walking with a divine confidence, not arrogance, but assurance that comes only from intimacy with God. That confidence begins to affect everything around you. Your choices become sharper. You say no with boldness. You say yes with peace. You don't second-guess your intuition because you know now that it's not just gut, it's God. You begin to trust your spiritual instincts, the ones that used to feel too loud or too emotional. Now you see they were prophetic. Now you understand that God speaks through sensitivity, that your discernment is a gift, not a burden. You also begin to understand your worth on a whole new level. You no longer tolerate energy that doesn't align with your peace. You don't force conversations, chase people, or beg for access. You move in the quiet confidence of someone who knows that what is meant for them cannot be missed. And what leaves wasn't meant to stay. You bless the exit and stay focused on the elevation. In this season of alignment, your atmosphere matters more than ever. You become intentional about your surroundings. You understand that your spirit needs nourishment, not just your schedule. You create space for rest, for prayer, for solitude. You're no longer running on empty, because now you know that staying full is your responsibility. You can't pour into others when you've neglected your own soul. As this spiritual maturity unfolds, so does favor. Divine alignment always attracts divine opportunity. Suddenly, things that once felt out of reach are now coming to you. The right people, the right platforms, the right provision. It begins to flow, not because you're striving, but because you're aligned. You've stepped into a current of grace, and it's carrying you farther than your efforts ever could. But this elevation isn't just for you. It's for those who are watching. God is using your life as a blueprint. Your obedience is now a testimony. People are being healed just by observing your journey. They see your peace, your boundaries, your growth, and it stirs something in them. They begin to wonder if maybe they too can rise. And that's how legacy begins, one surrendered life at a time, becoming light for others in the dark. With this visibility, however, comes responsibility. You'll feel the weight of what you carry. People will come to you for advice, for prayer, for strength. And you'll need to stay close to God so that your overflow is from Him, not from your own strength. You'll need to return to the secret place often, not just to recharge, but to remember who you are and who you're not. Elevation can tempt us to perform, but your power has always come from presence, not performance. You may also notice that your circle gets smaller, not because you're cutting people off out of pride, but because your path requires precision. Not everyone is called to walk with you at this pace, at this depth, with this level of clarity. And that's okay. You release them with love, knowing that your journey isn't about quantity, it's about quality. You're being joined by those who understand assignment, not just attachment. And as you walk in this clarity, God begins to download strategies, not just ideas, but divine instructions. He begins to show you how to steward the next level, how to launch what He placed inside of you, how to build without compromising, how to stand in truth even when it's unpopular. This is where purpose meets execution. No longer dreaming, but doing. No longer hoping, but building. You'll also begin to realize that alignment brings acceleration. What took years in the past begins to unfold in months. Where there was resistance, now there is momentum. You move from waiting for miracles to walking in them daily. And yet, you don't lose your awe. You remain humbled because you know this is not your doing, it's divine grace. At this stage, your emotions become more stable. Not because life is perfect, but because you've learned how to anchor yourself. You no longer react from fear, you respond from faith. You don't spiral in uncertainty, you seek clarity in prayer. You don't panic, you pause. This is spiritual emotional maturity, and it's a powerful weapon against the chaos of the world. Even your prayer life changes. It becomes less about asking and more about aligning. You stop begging for things and start declaring them. You speak the promises of God with boldness because you believe them. Your prayers are laced with wisdom and authority. You pray not just for breakthroughs, but for strategies. Not just for blessings, but for wisdom to manage them well. In this season, worship becomes your lifestyle. Not just something you do on Sunday, but something you embody every day. Gratitude becomes your rhythm. You start to praise not just when things go right, but even when they don't, because you've seen how God uses everything. Even your setbacks have become setups. Even the disappointments have turned into redirections. As all of this unfolds, you begin to understand what true peace feels like. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of divine perspective. You may still face storms, but now you have an anchor. Now you know that every shaking is preparing you for more. Now you understand that everything, even the painful parts, is working together for your good. You've come so far, chosen one. You've let go of what couldn't stay. You've allowed God to rearrange your life from the inside out, and you've stepped into a new rhythm, one where grace guides your steps and obedience fuels your rise. But now comes the most sacred part of your journey, preservation. Because what God has poured into you must be protected. The oil you now carry didn't come cheaply. It was crushed from seasons of waiting, tears, disappointment, surrender, and praise. And now you must protect it like the treasure it is. The enemy doesn't fear people who talk about purpose. He fears those who walk in it. Now that you're walking in purpose, you've become a threat to the darkness. You've become a lighthouse for others who are trying to find their way. That means distractions will increase. Temptations will get more subtle. Battles may shift from external to internal. But remember this, your peace is your power. Your intimacy with God is your armor. And your obedience is your strategy. You protect the oil by guarding your atmosphere, by saying no when it's easier to say yes, by keeping your spirit uncluttered. You've worked too hard, grown too deep, cried too many tears to go back to shallow waters. In this season, you don't just need people who like you. You need people who intercede for you. You don't just need invitations, you need discernment. Not every open door is divine, and not every platform is sacred. Stay connected to the voice that brought you here. Let God continue to guide every step, every word, every decision. Chosen one, you are now stewarding legacy. That means your life is no longer just about you. It's about the generations that come after you, your children, your spiritual sons and daughters, those who are silently watching, waiting to see if obedience is worth it. Your yes is their blueprint. Your surrender is their instruction. Every time you choose integrity over applause, you're teaching them how to live holy. Every time you pray when no one's looking, you're covering their future. This is what legacy looks like. It's built moment by moment in quiet, faithful decisions. You may not always see the fruit immediately. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing, when the applause fades, when the elevation slows. But don't let those moments deceive you. Legacy is often built underground, in the unseen, where roots grow deep. God is still working, still weaving, still multiplying your faithfulness in ways you can't imagine. And what feels small today will echo for generations. If you remain faithful, your leadership will increase. People will be drawn to you not for who you are, but for what you carry. You'll notice how conversations start to shift, how people open up to you without knowing why, how your mere presence brings calm. That's not a coincidence. That's the oil. You've become a vessel of healing, clarity, and wisdom. And the more you pour out, the more heaven will pour in. But remember, this is a walk of humility. Never forget the valley, the tears, the refining. It's what shaped your voice, sharpened your sight, and forged your strength. Stay close to the one who carried you through. Worship like you did when no one was watching. Pray like you did when you were desperate. Seek Him like you did when all you had was Him. Because the secret to staying full is never leaving the source. You're now part of something eternal. A move of God that doesn't just shift atmospheres, it shifts bloodlines. You are breaking generational curses, rewriting spiritual narratives, ushering in healing where there was once brokenness. This is not the end of your journey, it's the birthing of legacy. A legacy built not on platforms, but on presence. Not on performance, but on purity. Not on hype, but on holiness. You'll wake up with vision. You'll walk with power. You'll speak with fire. And you'll love with compassion. You are no longer defined by what left or what was lost. You are defined by what you've survived and who you've become through it all. A vessel of purpose, a steward of glory, a reflection of His goodness. As you move forward, never stop growing, never stop surrendering, never stop listening. There are still mountains to climb, still hearts to heal, still territory to take. But you are no longer walking alone. Heaven is backing every step. Angels are guarding every decision. And God Himself is smiling on your life. This is your legacy, a life that carried power without pride, a voice that shook chains without shouting, a heart that stayed soft while walking through fire, a spirit that stood firm when everything else fell. Apart, keep going, chosen one. Keep building. Keep shining. You are the proof that obedience still matters. You are the vessel God chose for this time. And your story, your beautiful, powerful, surrendered story, is just beginning.